Hello and welcome to another video. I've been in a bit of two minds about what to talk about next, and that's probably why there hasn't been a video for a while, because I'm wanting to spread messages of positivity and I'm wanting to focus on the good things in life, because there's a lot of doom and gloom around at the moment, and I've actually been finding it a little bit hard to move away from that. And I don't want to get into sort of a spiral about feelings, but there's so much crap going on in the world and people can be a little bit ignorant and insensitive to what's going on, and I find that very, very frustrating. And every time I start to record, I keep coming back to that. So I thought today, instead of focusing on something and there maybe being any message, that it might just be fun to talk about stuff that happened within my childhood. One particular story, I made a joke about it on a Facebook status about childhood trauma, and I thought that might be fun to talk about, because who doesn't find childhood trauma hilarious? Of course, I'm not going to be talking about anything serious, because that would not be funny or something that I would categorize as hilarious. But this is something that happened to me when I was a kid that, whilst not traumatizing, really, it wasn't like at the time. So for a bit of background, every year my hometown has this carnival, Seam Carnival. I think that's what it's called. It's been years since I've not been since I moved to Nottingham, and it's an annual event, RIP 2020, and there's basically fairground attractions, there's stages where people can perform, usually tribute acts. I'm pretty sure there's always like a Rod Stewart or an Elvis there, and local bands also take part, and it's a 2-day event, maybe it's just 1 day, but it's an annual event that happens, and it's very so it's something from my childhood that, you know, I sticks out and remember as something that happened every year. And there's of course like those stands where you can like hook a duck and win a goldfish. And I'm pretty sure we won some goldfish on those hook-a-duck things that we had for many, many years, until like they got too big for their tank and my dad had to find somewhere else. So when you win a hook-a-duck fish for your kid and you're like, oh, I'll be fine, it'll die in a week or two. No, they can live for quite some time if they're well looked after, and you should look after them. I'm not saying torture your fish. Let's move on, we've digressed. Now at the carnival as well, there'd usually be like little side shows, and by that there'd be sort of like, I don't know, like motorcyclists doing sort of tricks, and maybe like horses, I think, were there one year. And this one year, the Care Bears were there. Now for anybody who doesn't know, the Care Bears are a group of fictional characters. They are largely bears, but I think they've stretched out into other animals in recent years. And they were originally created back in 1981 to be on greeting cards, so for birthdays and Christmas, I guess, and stuff like that. And then in sort of like 1983 they made like actual teddy bears from them, and since then they've gone on to have TV shows, they've had movies, they've probably released albums, and they've appeared at Seam Carnival for probably the highlight of their world tour back in the 90s. And you're probably thinking, how does this come back to childhood trauma? How could the Care Bears possibly traumatize anyone? Well, the Care Bears that I met were actually like 6 foot tall, and not these tiny little cuddly things that you imagine that they may be. I was a child at the time, or maybe early teens, very early teens, like 12 at the eldest. And the Care Bears themselves weren't so much scary as they were very, very imposing. And there was little games, and they were getting people from the audience to get up and take part. And I put my hand up because, you know, I'm keen, and I was asked to take part, and I'll come to the game in a second. There was 2 Care Bears, I can't remember which one. I think the one that I went over to was either blue or purple, and I'm colourblind, so it could literally be either or even green. And I went over to my 6 foot tall giant Care Bear, who gave me a hug, but as he gave me a hug, he not only like pulled me in and was very, very tight, he also stood on my foot, which is basically an adult in a giant costume that I imagine was quite heavy, standing on a child's foot, and it was very, very painful. And that's my takeaway from the entire experience of meeting the Care Bear. was that it stood on my foot and it hurt. Now you might think that that's a really, really boring story, but it's something that has stuck with me for years. I'm going to come to the game next because it taught me a very important life lesson. There's so many levels to this, isn't it? So deep. The game that we were playing is basically the Care Bears were stood at two ends of a washing line, and there was a washing basket on the floor that had socks in it, and there was pegs, two things of pegs on either side of the washing basket, and me and the girl who had also been picked basically had to see who could get the most socks on the washing line in the shortest amount of time. I think it was something like 30 seconds or a minute. So we go, we started to put the socks on, and then at some point we both grabbed the same sock. And this is where the important life lesson was learned. I let go of the sock because I'm a gentleman like that, and I was like, no, you take that sock, I'll get another one. And I lost. And I wasn't happy about it because I am actually quite competitive and I don't like losing. I don't like losing it when I'm the reason that I've lost. Like, I could have totally taken that girl and just yanked it and won, and I should have done that. And I learned a very important life lesson that day, and that is that you shouldn't let other people get ahead of you. You need to look after number one. Now, I'm not saying that you have to be a dick to everyone, but I do think that it's important to look after oneself, and if grabbing a sock from another child means that you're going to win, grab the bloody sock. I like to think of myself as quite a polite person, so even like as I say this to you, saying, you know, oh, don't let people get away with it, you know, grab the sock, seize the day. I actually probably would do the exact same thing if I was in the same situation today. The only difference would be that I would probably be equal size to the Care Bear and not in so much pain should it stand on my foot. It did again at the very end give me another hug and stand on my foot again, so it was painful. Like, adults in costumes probably can't see that they are standing on said child's foot, but like they should be more aware of that. Probably not allowed to hug children these days, actually. That's probably a massive no-no. So yeah, that's my childhood trauma for today. I thought it would be nice just to talk about something a little bit lighthearted. There's so much negativity, and I'm trying to not spend as much time on the Facebook because people share stuff and it's a trigger for me. Word of advice, don't get your facts and news from memes. No, that's not good. Fact check. Somebody asked me recently, if you could change one thing in the world, what would it be? And I said that I would make sure that everything that got posted online had an automatic fact check behind it. That's probably not as easy as it sounds. And it's probably a bit of a crap answer as well. You know, if I had one thing that I would change in the world is that I would like people to be more open to saying I'm sorry, and I would like people to be more open to learning and saying, oh, I've learned something, you've given me a different perspective. I think, and we're all probably guilty of this to some extent, we're all very set on this is my opinion, and my opinion is right, and I can back it up with this. But if you're backing it up with something that you've read on Facebook, then I kind of have very limited respect for that said opinion. I'm sorry. But I'm not getting into that. That's it. Just love each other, learn, educate yourself. I think that they're very important things, especially in this day and age, and if we're going to grow as a society, and that's stuff that we need to do. So that's it for today, really. Short and sweet, little story about a little girl in a sock who destroyed my hopes and dreams of being the winner of the sock hanging competition. Another thing just to put out there before I finish, I said that I was going to do a video every week, and I'm not, clearly. It's been quite a few weeks since my last one. I don't want to sit down and really record something unless I'm feeling it. I sat down and recorded something the other week because I felt that I had to, and it wasn't very good, so that's why there wasn't a video, because I wasn't going to post something if I didn't like it. I'm quite meticulous with my editing process, so what you see is probably like half, if not less, of what I actually record, because if something just doesn't seem relevant in post-production, I get rid of it. So yeah, maybe don't expect something every week, mother, and message me asking me where they've gone. They are in the works. I want to put out stuff that is important to me and that is interesting to me. And if I watch something back in editing and I'm not enjoying it, then I don't post it, because if I'm not enjoying it, the likelihood is that nobody else is going to enjoy it. I don't know if that sounds conceited, but I just think that if I don't like what I'm putting out, or if I don't like what I've done, then nobody else will. And that could be wrong, but that's my thought on the process. So yeah, not every week, but maybe every other week. Subscribe, keep an eye on your subscriptions, or there's a little bell apparently you can turn on to get a specific notification, specifically when I post a video. Fascinating, right? But thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy this video, please leave a like. If you are new, please subscribe. It would be lovely to see you again. And leave a comment in this comment section below letting me know about your childhood trauma. Is it Care Bear related? Probably not. Bye bye now.